Hey, we are holed up in a rare, quiet place at E3 with the good doctors of BioWare, Greg Zeshuk and Ray Musica. Thank you guys very much for taking a few minutes out with us. So this chair is really... I'm having fun. I'm having fun here. So I guess I'd just like to talk to you guys about the general state of the BioWare empire, which seems to be expanding by the day. So you guys are showing Mass Effect 2, finally, full-on gameplay, just actually demoing it here at E3. So I feel like you guys set up like a bunch of teases with the fiction, with the trailers you guys are putting out, especially with Shepard, killed in action and all this stuff. And you guys have kind of reneged on that a little bit at this show. Can you explain what was the thinking behind those teases? I mean, do you guys just like playing with our emotions, or how did that come about?
Well, I think the clearly you're seeing Shepard in demos here, but it's not you probably heard during the demo if you did get a chance to see it. And you heard that, the impact of what you can do in the game can actually literally kill off your characters. And so there's scenarios and situations which might lead to bad outcomes for your player and for Shepard. So really what we're trying to do is really catch people's attention, but also in fact warn them that Mass Effect 2 is a very dangerous game. And to play it, you got to really be thoughtful about the consequences of what you do, and bad things can happen.
It definitely seems like a much grittier game. There's the whole kind of dark second act thing, just kind of classical sort of dramatic setup. I guess that was like a conscious decision going in, right? Did you guys set out saying this is the one where all the bad stuff happens?
Well, it's almost like we were trying to amp the intensity up, across the board, and the way the dialogue works, the way the narrative flow works, the combat, kind of make it really feel like a shooter RPG. So we really wanted to amp all that up and make it feel like a dark second act where there was choices and consequences and moment to moment really intensity, both in the combat and the way the exploration and the dialogue and narrative flow work. But as Greg said, this is an intense game. It's got dark choices. Your Commander Shepard, it's a whole new kind of experience in terms of there's a ominous threat that's threatening all organic life in the galaxy. You've got to gather really what amounts to a suicide squad of some of the most badass villains, criminals, masterminds across the galaxy. You got to get we're showing, revealing one of the characters, a new race actually, alien race. The guy's name is Thane. He's the best assassin in the galaxy. You need people like that on your team to repulse and repel this threat, this ominous menace to humanity and really the whole galaxy.
I think another thing too is when you think about just how the game has played out so far, Mass Effect 1 was that joy of discovery, the new idyllic world where you went and everything seemed nice and clean and it was all good. But I think the second game is where you kind of figure out what's really going on in the galaxy, and you start seeing that seamy underbelly, and everything's not as it seems, and a lot of bad things happen.
So the first game had it was a very satisfying kind of core storyline. The narrative progression and the places you went following the story were great, but the periphery, so there were some complaints about lack of variety. A lot of the planets kind of looked at. I know it's hard to believe, but
so we've taken that feedback to heart. Like, one of the things we're doing is the Uncharted worlds are all handcrafted and exotic, and they feel really, really interesting and really worthwhile to go to. They're optional content still, but they're going to enhance the main story arc, and maybe they're a clue to if you invest a lot of time in backstory of your characters, kind of making sure that your team is as powerful as possible. Maybe they're a clue to actually be able to succeed more and be more effective in the main story arc. And that's definitely something I think players are going to enjoy. So if you choose to do those Uncharted worlds now, you're going to have a great time doing them, but they're still optional, and they're going to make the main story even better.
Yeah, it's definitely a better payoff.
Very cool. So this is kind of apocryphal, but we have heard from some developers that Microsoft is not a big fan of one game accessing another game's save data and all that kind of thing. But you guys are really, that's kind of sounds like an integral feature of Mass Effect 2, because you made some big decisions in the first game that are going to carry over. Did you guys have to kind of push the boundaries with Microsoft to get them to let you sort of access that save data? Is this something that we haven't really seen in a game before?
Well, it's funny, because we've had that question a couple of times. We, on the PC side, have done this many times before. You go all the way back to Baldur's Gate. You could use the same save game through. And I think, the tradition of some of these very story-driven games is to extend it across multiple games. And right from the beginning, when we made, decided, hey, Mass Effect's going to be a trilogy, that was one of the features. And I don't think Microsoft's got anything against it. It's more a function of, hey, when do we get to this? When, it's, a lot of times it's who's asking for it. And people aren't asking for it. It's not necessarily a feature they're going to support as one of the standard Xbox features, and now we're asking for it. And we believe there's an army of fans that would like to see it too, and so it's it'll happen and it'll work out really good.
Cool. So obviously the game's not going to be out this year. I think it's safe to say at this
Mass
point.
Effect 2?
Yeah.
Early next year.
So it is an early next year game. I was curious because I mean Mass Effect strikes me as a big enough tentpole that it's kind of a traditional holiday sort of release, but you feel that the franchise is strong enough to stand on its own in kind of a
very much.
earlier release window.
Yeah, I think our goal is to make an experience that's incredibly intense, really high quality. It's going to take all the feedback we received on Mass Effect 1 and just amp it up in every dimension, like the combat, the dialogue, the narrative flow, the exploration, the Uncharted worlds, tighten Mako controls, better AI for enemies, lock the frame rate at 30, make texture loading really seamless and smooth. Elevators are faster than ever, so there's a lot of great things we're taking to heart and making the experience freaking awesome.
Well, I don't know if I can wait another year, but
you can play it at the show.
I'll do my best.
You can actually go and play it at the show.
I might have to go look into that. So let's talk about the Old Republic a little bit. I haven't been to our LucasArts appointment yet, so I haven't seen what's being shown, but could you guys just kind of briefly characterize how much of the game you're showing to attendees here?
Yeah, what we'll be doing is we'll be taking them through a live demo. I mean, it's connected back to our Austin server. So again, real gameplay, the real stuff. Showing them a couple different character classes, a couple different planets and scenarios, and actually taking them through one of the really big things in the game, which is choice. So, in usual MMOs, there's really no sense of choice. The guy asks you to go get the 5 gold rings, you get the 5 gold rings. There's no discussion. You can actually have a discussion, and not only that, decide to bump off the guy with asking for the 5 gold rings and take his magic bag, for example. These aren't scenarios that are in Star Wars. Just to be clear, no golden rings, no magic bags.
Those are just purely illustrative.
Those are in my mind, just these stories. But just the ability to make a choice. I mean, actually, what there is, there's a point where there's the captain. The captain's been kind of a rascal, and you're sent there to clean up the mess, and you get the choice of either killing him or saving him. And then actually, depending on what you do, entire different chunk of the game opens up. And this is fundamentally different than what we've typically seen in any MMO. That combined with the full voiceover, digital acting, just kind of like what you've seen in Mass Effect, really brings the players into it, makes the whole thing a lot more meaningful. So it's a lot of the gameplay, a lot of the character stuff. We take you through a really good idea of what some of the characters are like, and finally showing you choice and showing you real good story in an MMO. It's very exciting.
Cool. So part of telling that story, you guys announced this week that it's going to be fully voiced. Just I assume that means every single line of dialogue, right, in the entire game?
Absolutely, yeah.
So can you talk any numbers? I mean, how many lines of dialogue is that? You said that this may
hundreds of thousands.
This is one of the biggest voiceover projects pretty much in history, right?
We don't know. It's hard to know exactly, but it certainly seems like it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, for games and maybe all forms of entertainment. That's we think it's going to change everything. Like MMOs are going to be different from this point on. This MMO changes the landscape because it's got story and choice, as Greg described, and meaningful choices. That actually, there's no save game here. You have to move forward. You have to live with your consequences of your choice, and people are going to react in the game accordingly. So that's really cool. And the fact that it's all voiced means the characters feel that much more rich and detailed and alive. So that's a whole new pillar that there's been story in MMOs before, but this is enhancing that and just kind of taking it to a whole new level. And it's not losing anything in the translation, the progression, the customization, and rich exploration in the Star Wars universe, which is pretty damn cool. And great combat, with force-wielding characters and lightsabers and bounty hunters and all kinds of cool characters are inspired by the great archetypal classes in the movies. They're all in there too. So you've got a strong foundation of the stuff that MMO players love. And you're playing with your friends online. You can solo it. You can, basically the answer is you're pretty much just going to have every kind of feature that you'd imagine in an MMO, and great story beyond that too.
That's my favorite song, by the way. That's the Greg Zeschuk theme song you're going to be hearing.
It follows you wherever you go.
It's actually
a happy song.
It's nap time now. we have to go. It's nap time.
Everybody spread your towel out on the floor. So just
if they can hear it, it's pretty special.
Just one more.
That's very cute.
It is. It's lulling me into a trance.
It's like the A song.
Right. So
I don't think it's going to stop either. So.
Oh my.
Good times. Let's go continue.
Indeed. So one more question on the VO. Having played a lot of KOTOR myself, how much of this voice dialogue is going to be alien language, and how many of those samples are going to be the same sample that you heard from another alien in the past? I'm sure you guys kind of remember what I might be getting at.
No, actually, the cool thing. I mean, we are seriously investing in an enormous amount of alien dialogue as well. It's actually
there are thousands of speaking.
Yeah, like it's really really remarkable. Because I think the folks at LucasArts, this is something they've done a lot, and I think certainly with Knights of the Old Republic, it was I think we made it, we put these lines in, and we didn't really know what the impact would be. I mean, one thing it really allowed us to do, which was really cool, was to actually use those lines as a way for us to, when we were kind of doing that final BioWare touch where we modify the story, and there's a lot, they were used a lot, but I mean we're blowing it out really wide with lots of different variety. The song's beginning again to suggest this interview's over soon, and really actually just. It'll be good.
Okay, very, very cool. All right, I'll cut this short. I just wanted to ask you guys. Thank you. We just wanted to ask you collectively as an organization if you're planning to give the person who cuts your trailers a raise anytime soon, because coming out of EA the other day. Like, you guys have probably like the top 3 trailers of this whole thing, so
thank you.
I don't know like who's cutting those things, if it's a group effort or what, but like
there's some really talented people in our marketing team and our art team in general at the developments, as teams, and I think we're blessed to work with such great people at all levels of the org.
Cool. Very cool. All right, well, clearly it's time to put this interview to bed. So good night, sleep tight, and don't let the bed bugs bite. Oh man!
Did that work for you?
That was awesome.
I think that might end up being one of the funniest interviews. Like that is gonna be like hilarious.
Do you like the nap time one?
What is that music?
Oh no, that's good.
Like what is it?
Oh.
Like what on earth is it?
Hey, what's up? I'm joined here by Richard, who's the creative director for Splash Damage. How you doing, sir?
Very good.
Awesome. So we're here to talk about Brink. I just caught a demo of it. It looks pretty awesome. What's going on with the story? What's Brink all about?
Okay, well, basically, Brink is set on the Ark, which was basically a prototype city built out at sea that was supposed to be the perfect future. Total green living, renewable resources, the whole 9 yards. It was absolutely fantastic, and everything was going great until Al Gore's greatest nightmare came to pass, and that Ross ice shelf, whatever it was pretty bad. Yeah. And overnight, what was basically this little community that could maybe house about 5,000 people with all this kind of prototype technology, suddenly has to house almost 50,000. And when the game opens, we've cut to about 30 years later. A whole generation has grown up in this tight little enclave, just shoulder to shoulder with, the super rich and the super poor, within spitting distance of each other. And at the beginning of the game, the whole place is literally on the brink, hence the title, of an all-out civil war.
Awesome. So one of the things I noticed, I mean, it's a first-person shooter, but it looks like navigation's not going to be a problem because of the smart system. That looked really smart.
Yes, thank you. That means the PR is doing its job. Obviously, we didn't actually have a name for the button, and the PR guy said, we'll call it SMART. Somebody come up with an acronym. It stands for, let me see if I got this, Smart Movement Across Random Terrain. And basically what it's all about is trying to solve the problems you get in first-person shooters where, basically you don't have that sense that you and I have of, you kind of know that I'm kind of kicking you right now with my foot, or I'm about to. Right. Just because you have that sense of awareness.
I can sort of see it. I'm like, wait a minute, this interview is getting weird here.
Yes. But you're a horse with blinders in a shooter, of course.
Right.
So it's so easy to get caught up. I mean, if you were actually in this particular room in a shooter, you'd be stalling over this thing. It'd be terrible. And that's fine. Obviously, players are really used to it. But what we do is, if you're in a situation and you hold that button down, you're basically signaling to the game that you want the game to take care of that. Hey, you know what? I've got a really long jump here. I don't want to have to run around looking at the floor, waiting until the right moment to press. I just want you to jump at the right moment.
Right.
And when I reach out at the end, I want you to grab that edge. I don't want to have to make a perfect time grab, because that's not why I'm here. I'm playing the game to have fun, kicking ass and taking names. Yeah. I'm not playing the game to have fun, trying to scramble around a conference room and trip over all the chairs.
Like navigate chairs and all that stuff. Exactly.
So it's not really the core of our game. It's basically to get all the crap out of the way so you can have fun playing the core of our game, which is a kick-ass shooter.
Cool. So let's talk about the core a little bit. It seems like it is a class-based shooter.
Yes.
with the kind of all the multiplayer hooks you would expect of that sort of thing, but the classes are then applied to the single player.
Yeah. Well, actually, the interesting thing is when you first start the game and you're on the title screen, one thing you will not see is, would you like to play single player or multiplayer? That's not an option. That's not an interesting choice for us. Would you just like to play the game? What happens is you're looking, oh yeah, I'm going to take the mission, like say that Container City mission you just saw a few minutes ago. Oh, it's available. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right on in. And by default, maybe you're going to play online or offline just by yourself. But you know what? We'll actually do a check and see, oh hey, yeah, one of your Xbox Live friends or your PSN friends or your Steam friends is actually in there right now. Why don't you jump in with him, or or jump into his party if you're using the party system? Of course, because it's still going to be that same mission. You'll just be filling in, one of the slots that was on his team. Basically, we expect a lot of players are going to, we're kind of like a gateway drug to multiplayer gaming.
Sure, yeah.
So they'll start out single player. We'll be tracking them, see how well they're doing, and there will come a point in the game when we think, you know what, you're ready, and we're actually going to stop the game, talk directly to the player, and say, you know what, we know you're a little nervous. You've maybe had some bad experiences with online shooters before. You maybe had a few racial slurs thrown your way. Who knows what?
That never happens online. I don't know what you're talking about.
But what we're here to tell you is, you can do it. Go on ahead. The next mission, try it online. We'll bribe you. We'll pay you twice as much experience. So just give it a try.
Oh, wow.
No harm.
Yeah.
And I think what will happen is a lot of players will go in and say, wow, this isn't so bad. Because what's been happening is they didn't even realize we were training them and actually breaking them of a lot of bad habits. Like, you know what? I'm the hero of the universe. Everything waits for me. It's not until I take 3 steps forward that the explosion will happen. You're not the center of the universe. You are on a team and you've got a role to play. And by getting the player really comfortable with that and realizing, hey, we're all equals, when they go online, they'll be better teammates.
Cool. Now, in addition to that, is there like a separate, more kind of dedicated traditional multiplayer mode, or does it all kind of take place in the single player world?
Well, actually, we look at it the other way. It all takes place in the multiplayer world.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Splash Damage's background, the enemy territory games, which are obviously hugely big, it's amazing. Enemy territory Wolfenstein is still vying for, as a general rule, like in the top 3 online PC shooters.
Right.
It's huge, and the reason for that is because of the gameplay that Splash Damage has always been known for, all this objective-based multiplayer gameplay. The interesting thing about that makes it so special compared to normal capture the flag stuff is it is kind of story driven. It's all about putting context into a multiplayer experience.
Right.
We're not all just trying to capture the flag and it's all symmetrical.
Objectives that lead to that.
Exactly, yeah. And it has kind of this natural flow that makes it really, really compatible with single player. So that's where, for us, the bare bones basic, the architecture we're building on is our kick-ass multiplayer, and then opening doors and getting rid of barriers that would, keep a single-player fan from wanting to come in. But hell, a lot of our players aren't even going to have live, and we know that. So they're going to have a fantastic single-player experience playing through 2 complete campaigns, because as you heard from before, the story, there's 2 sides of this civil war.
Yeah.
And you will choose which side you want to play. And you will see things from that point of view. And when that is over, you will then take that character and play through the other side, and you will see things from a completely different point of view. So there's a lot of gameplay to be had. And once you finish both campaigns, you're going to be level 10, level 11, and you still got a long ways to go.
And plenty of stuff to unlock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a game that keeps on giving.
Cool. And when can we expect it to come out?
When it's ready. Everybody loves to hear that.
Yeah, that's everyone's favorite first-person shooter response.
Done. Well, but right now we're shooting for spring 2010, and we're doing pretty well. You saw the demo. It's pre-alpha, but the thing is, Splash Damage knows what it's doing. They've got a really huge pedigree. We're working with tech that they've been building for years now.
Right.
And so we're really confident.
Cool, Richard. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, that's great.
Hey, I am at the very spooky, scary Valve Software booth at E3, and Chet Falasek, Valve Software, I'm a little confused. So, you guys put out Left 4 Dead last November.
Correct.
You just announced Left 4 Dead 2 for this November. You guys are Valve. You don't turn games around in 1 year. I thought I knew you guys. What is going on here?
That's so much fun the first time, right? We had to come back to it. No, so one of the things Left 4 Dead 1 did was kind of combine the storytelling of Half-Life with the multiplayer of Counter-Strike. We thought we did a pretty good job, but we wanted to do even more this time around, right? And so when we looked at doing more of an update, it's not like Team Fortress, you can just do one map and it's kind of self-contained, right? So you start talking about a couple of maps in a campaign. And then you start saying, well, we want to go to a different part of the world. We want to we were looking at the Deep South. And so all of a sudden then you're talking about multiple campaigns. And you want to have new characters. And then all of a sudden, once you're down there, well, the virus is mutating. So you're going to have new creatures. You're going to have new special infected. You're going to have new regular infected. And then there's a bunch of us, working on Left 4 Dead. As we're shipping, the team grows. And then at the end of shipping, we all kind of take a week off or so, and then we look back, and you get to pick whatever you want to work on at Valve. And everyone on Left 4 Dead team was like, I want to do more Left 4 Dead. We just got this down. We understand how to do this. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of ideas we have and a whole bunch of things we want to do, but the problem is some of them aren't really short-term. Some of them are long-term. Big changes to the director. We have Directive 2.0. We can actually change the architecture. So you can go through a map, and it'll be different every time. Not the entire map, because just randomly generated, it's going to feel like randomly generated. But we take intelligence sections and we rework them, right? We have things like weather effects, which at first you're like, I played in the rain, big deal. But you haven't played in a good southern, thunderstorm where all of a sudden you're blinded and it's claustrophobic and you don't know what's going on. And also you have the infected are spawning a little bit different. You have the special infected, like the Charger now, and it's playable as the infected as well when you're playing in versus, right? And we have 5 campaigns, all are playable in versus, all playable in survival mode, and we have a whole new mode coming out beforehand. And not only that, then we decided chainsaw. How do we make a zombie game without chainsaws? We got to fix that. So we got chainsaws, and then we also said, well, hell, let's put other melee weapons in there. So we have baseball bats, axe, and like right now we're showing we have a frying pan, my favorite. Excellent. And and this is examples of some of what's going to be in there. We also have incendiary ammo, which does what it says, sets zombies on fire, right? And that's just one kind of special item like that. We have a whole bunch more. We're just using it as an example here at the show. There's that kind of thing of like, wow, this isn't a little update. This isn't something you would do piecemeal. This is something that's this whole full big product on its own. We want to release it that way. Is it different for Valve? Sure. And I think the pretty good first reaction, I understand that, right? I totally get that kind of reaction. As a consumer, if you would tell me Left 4 Dead 2 is coming out, yeah, it's kind of confusing, but then once we go to it, once we start showing people it, once we start telling them everything that's in it, then it makes a lot more sense, right?
So with this game coming out, does that mean that you guys are done adding on to the first Left 4 Dead? Are you just pushing straight forward to the sequel now?
So because we're schizophrenic and not very good at doing it this way, we actually, next week you're going to hear us talking about the updates we have coming out for Left 4 Dead 1. We still have a new update in the full release of the SDK. The SDK is in beta now. We have the full release coming of the matchmaking that'll include community mapping. And then after that, we still have some 4 versus 4 matchmaking. And so that's like an interesting thing that we saw we all play Left 4 Dead a ton. And one of the things we see in community maps is we see what's called pub stomping, where a group of 4 friends goes and attacks random people because we didn't give that to their credit. We didn't give them a good way to play another team of 4. We want to fix that, so we want to get 4 versus 4 matchmaking, right? And a lot of Left 4 Dead 2's design is about making sure the best way to play the game is the funnest way to play the game. And so, like in here, we're playing a new kind of crescendo event where you just don't sit in a corner and battle off zombies and melee. You actually have to move and go on. And that comes from partially the passion of the team and the excitement of like people who have been thinking about it, follow through Left 4 Dead 1 and now Left 4 Dead 2. And our ability to just kind of go on that and be able to make these changes to the director to let that happen.
Have you guys thought at all about sort of allowing the 2 games to be unified, like have servers that run like all the maps from both games? Like, are the changes too profound to mash them together like that?
Well, so how this release is going to happen and how that's going to have Left 4 Dead 1, we haven't decided yet. There's, as Doug put it, there's a lot of different elegant ways we can do it. I just can't pronounce that. But what that's going to end up being, we're not sure yet. One thing we do know for sure is we want to make sure that everyone making a Left 4 Dead 1 map now, or campaign now, it's still going to work in Left 4 Dead 2. You'll be able to start Left 4 Dead 2 up. You'll have the new creatures automatically. You'll have the new weapons. You'll have all of that in the world. Now, if you want to do some of the new director stuff, or some of the new little ways that we control item placement and stuff, you can go redo it and add that. But you can also just leave it exactly the way it was and it'll work.
Yeah, cool. So I read on a competing website that...
Do they exist?
Not in my world. Not in my world.
Different than Giant Bomb? I don't think so.
I doubt it. Basically, like I've read that this is set sort of like, so you guys had your initial storyline. It's like, 2 weeks or whatever after infection. This one's like another week after that. It reminded me that you had this great sort of contextual fiction in the first game where you didn't like spell out what was going on, but stuff written on the walls and stuff left behind, you kind of could piece it together. Are you guys going to expand on that sort of method of storytelling, or are we going to find out more about what's going on in the world?
Yeah, we'll definitely expand on that. So we're going to start with these 4, and we're going to end with these 4. And we have this cohesive story of their travel. They first meet at the same time as you meet them. They meet the infection the same time you meet the infection, and they're going to take it all the way to their eventual salvation in New Orleans. In that journey, Each campaign's still a standalone movie. It tells a very distinct story unto itself, but connected, we connect them, and we'll let you know what's happening between them, why they're here, why they're going there. And it just gives you a little bit something more for the people who want to bite into the game that way. We want to give that, but we don't want to stop up the gameplay with cut scenes or these long narratives. We want to keep it dynamic and flowing and fluid like the first one. But we've expanded out our tools for storytelling inside of that role, right? And so right now, if you play Left 4 Dead 1, as you play it, you'll hear some things you've never heard before as you keep playing. And now we're just making sure like that kind of variation comes also from location and from how well they know each other. They don't know each other's names at the beginning, right? There's this kind of movement that happens as you go across the maps and play them.
Cool. Who is the Lewis of this game? Like, who is going to be the fan favorite character with the best lines?
See, I don't know, because we also have Francis, people like them, or if you're in a grouchy mood, everybody likes Bill. Yeah. And everyone likes Zoe, too. It's a tough one. Right now, just people playing today, a lot of people are liking the Coach.
Yeah.
Coach is a great character, and also equally the mechanic. He's the fun-loving, younger Southern guy. One of the things, I'd actually lived down south in New Orleans for a while. A bunch of guys in the team are from the South, so I think people first have this reaction to make this really bad stereotype of the city. And it's like the Ellis character, the mechanic, is a really good example. He's a fun-loving, good guy, and it's like you want to be around him, you want to hang out with him, you want to be his friend, and you're going to play the game with him, right, as his character.
He's the kind of guy who's going to tell you when there are pills here.
He's going to be excited. Oh, they're all going to tell you when there's pills there.
Very good. All right, thanks, Chad.
All right, well, thank you.
Hey, what's going on? We're here to talk to Gas Powered Games' Chris Taylor. Chris, how is E3 2009 treating you?
Well, so far so good.
You're here talking about Supreme Commander 2. You're showing this off. This is for the first time to the press, is that right?
That is correct.
Excellent. Now, it seems like the technology behind Supreme Commander 2 is kind of one of the big changes over the first game. Definitely still a lot of the same, huge scale strategy action. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what has changed behind the scenes for Supreme Commander 2?
Well, you go into a game sequel and you think, what can we do to really dramatically change the experience? We wanted to fix some serious problems. We wanted to improve the performance so they could play on a lot of new hardware. But with the Square Enix partnership that we have, we wanted to tell a better story for the characters in the that are caught up in this war.
Now, speaking of Square Enix, I think it's worth mentioning we are recording this interview in the Square Enix booth, which is your new publishing partner, and this is kind of the first thing for Square Enix to kind of push into the West. How has that really affected kind of just the process for you? Like, what's that experience been like?
Well, I like to say that, oftentimes game development, the art comes second, but with Square Enix, the art and the art form of game making has come first. Yeah. And that's a real pleasure. So we're having a great time really focusing on the incredible the characters, the story, the world, the art of game making, and that's a refreshing change.
So, spiky-haired youth has to save the world. Is this kind of going to be the main thrust of Subcom 2?
These are supreme commanders that command entire armies, so they're a little more serious. But I get what you're saying. We have we're sort of the idea with Square Enix moving into the West, working with us as Western developers, is that we understand the Western market and that we'll make the games the way we always made them, but with some really great influences that we think can really complement it. So it's not like we're saying, let's become a Japanese developer as a result. So there's a little bit of a hair to split there and a subtlety, but it's just been a really terrific marriage.
So good experience for you guys so far.
Absolutely.
Excellent. One of the things that I noticed seeing Supreme Commander 2 for the first time, big change in the art style. Seems a lot more colorful, a lot brighter, a lot kind of crisper and cleaner. What was kind of the driving force behind those changes?
Well, we got a terrific group. They've done a lot more work and research on the unit looks. We know a lot more about what it takes to make a really good RTS that reads really well from distance, so that when you zoom that camera out, you can still understand what's going on in the world. And we work harder to not only create profiles of the units that you can see, but pushing them into their own spaces so that they don't mush together and look very similar. So it's been a real effort to create that look that you identified. I like to think of it as a warmth, but really it's character, it's style, and it's spending the time agonizing on those aesthetics.
Let's talk about some of those aesthetics. some of the things that really jumped out at me were the robot dinosaur, one of the experimentals, and also the giant robot. How have kind of the specific styles for the different factions changed since the first Supreme Commander?
Well, we do have the mini experimentals and the major experimentals. You saw one of the major experimentals from the Cybern faction, Cybernzilla, which is outrageous. You know, that's what video games are about, though. It's not just for us to duplicate the stuff that we see in everyday life. It's to make stuff that the world has never seen before, and that's what you're getting with the Cybernzilla unit and many of the other 20 experimentals that we did not reveal today.
That's a lot more than the first game.
You're right. The first game had 9. And we have over 25, so a lot more cool stuff to reveal in the months ahead.
Now, obviously, still a big focus on kind of the large scale, as with the first Supreme Commander. But has that changed in focus? Like, has it gotten any bigger? Has it gotten any smaller? Have there been any kind of adjustments to that?
Well, there is definitely a focus in the way the game plays. We have fewer units, but we've added the entire tech tree that allows you to make all these combinations with the units, which creates a lot of replayability and stuff like that. We dropped some of the little fiddly little things. We dropped coordinated attack. Nobody used it. We have some changes to our economy that we think are for the better. So we've made the economy more easily learned. People can learn it faster, but really just have more fun, and it's less tricky. But all in a good way. So improvements that we think people will really embrace.
Excellent. Now, this is coming to both the PC and the Xbox 360. You guys have a date for this?
We don't have a street date or a launch window quite yet. We do know it's sometime in the early time frame of 2010, I think, at this point. It's looking great.
Excellent. Chris, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
What's up, everybody? We're here at the MTV Games / Harmonix booth with Alex Navarro, where you just got done playing Rock Band Beatles.
Damn right I did. And it's Beatles Rock Band. Get it right.
I'm sorry. The Beatles Rock Band. I'm not the only one to get that wrong. I heard a press conference type guy get it wrong, too.
I don't know who you're talking about or what you're talking about.
That's right. The Beatles come first, Rock Band comes second. John, you work with Alex Navarro.
I have to work with Alex Navarro. I hired him by accident.
Yeah.
And we've kept him around because there's a duration clause in his contract.
Right, yeah. We pumped him up really good. We thought it would be good if he got a job at a developer, so everyone he used to work with was like, yeah, you should totally get him. Get him out off of this coast. Get him out of here. I mean, this interview that we did with him, the most unprofessional thing I've ever shot.
And whose fault is that? Is the real question. Is it my fault for hiring him, or is it your fault for lying when I call you for reference?
I think it's his fault for being completely worthless as a human being. So you've been pretty much demoing the game for most of the show. How is it? Is it still kind of weird for you to be this open with a game that's been so secretive for so long?
It's more relieving than anything else, because I think we've all been sort of bursting at the seams, like just wanting to be able to tell everyone about all the cool shit that we're doing.
Yeah.
And we've been just totally hands tied for months and months and months. Like, it's been in a ready state to show for a while. So now we're out there. We can show it to everybody. Everyone's excited. I'm happy.
Cool.
I just want to talk.
Yeah, but it's not the full song list yet. You're not revealing all 45 tracks, right?
Nah, son.
Yeah, you got to keep something. I mean, it's not released till September. You got to keep people on the hook. Keep releasing information.
Yeah, son.
That's how we do it, son.
Yeah, son.
Yeah, son. 3-part harmony, son.
Yeah, son.
So how does that work? As far as I could tell, the consoles weren't built to support that many things hooked up to them at once.
Yeah, you can use 3-wired microphones if you have 3-wired microphones. We also support the Lips mic. We also support the SingStar mic. So if you want to use that stuff, you can do that as well. As far as in the game, it's pretty simple. I mean, you can either just play solo and it'll just show the melody line, or if you have like 2 or 3 microphones hooked up, it'll show the different harmonies. Like, sometimes have 2, some have 3, and nobody is limited to one line. You can switch back and forth like at will. So if you're good at doing the melody through the verse, but then the harmony is kind of it's a better range for you. You can switch off as long as 3 people are hitting the lines. Doesn't matter who's doing it.
Okay, that's cool, because I started thinking about harmony stuff after seeing it at the press conference. I was like, man, singing harmony is really hard because I'm not a real singer.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So you won't be penalized if you can't harmonize.
No, as John was putting it in there, it's constructive, not destructive. So he's pretty good at drums.
Okay, yeah. Well, human beings are not drummers. I think we all know that.
He's got probably the sweetest face in video games. But other than that, he's really just he's a big hollow sack of man.
I know, just an empty suit, an empty flannel shirt,
an empty flannel shirt and shorts.
Does he wear shorts in the winter or the wet?
I have put a slight ban on shorts. He still wears shorts quite frequently. But every once in a while, I'm like, we're at a public event. I'm like, look, if it's not
70 or warmer outside, you gotta not be wearing the shorts. But I don't, it's his outfit. I'm not gonna break any sort of HR rules.
If he wants to look like a total jerk in shorts, because who would wear shorts at a big public event like E3? Ryan, talk about DLC a little bit. Abbey Road coming soon. No specific date.
Soon after launch.
Soon after launch. And then All We Need Is Love DLC. Is that at launch? When is that?
Soon after launch.
Soon after launch.
Exclusive to the Xbox 360 for a limited time.
Right. Okay. Will there be more DLC past that stuff?
Maybe.
Maybe. You never know.
We have plans to release Abbey Road, and All You Need Is Love at this time.
But Alex wouldn't leak us anything about the full song list or what you're doing further DLC, or if Rock Band 3 or a future Harmonix product would have 3-part harmonies in it.
I don't think we've made any announcements regarding what our plans for future Rock Band titles are at this time.
So I'll tell you this about the game. I'll confirm 2 things for you that we have not confirmed to anyone except the other website I was interviewed for.
Great.
So semi-exclusive, Beatles Rock Band, more screaming girls than any other music game on the market, and more importantly, in my opinion, we have not done the math yet, more mustaches in the later Beatles career than any other band.
Sir, it looks like you've just played the Beatles, Rock Band. What do you think of it, sir?
Hey, what's this for? You guys, I want to be on the TV?
To be on television, electronic3.tv.
I love the Beatles. I just played 2 songs, rockin' vocals on the Eggman song, and
the Walrus.
The Man About Taxes.
I'm the Walrus.
And the Money Man.
I'm the Walrus.
The IRS song.
Taxman.
Erwin R. Shyster, his entrance music is in this game?
Yes.
Is there any truth to the rumor that you're doing a WWE entrance music-themed game?
God, I wish. I wish.
It's fun. It's Rock Band. It's got harmonizing vocals, and everything's all trippy looking. And never really actually paid too much attention to the lyrics to I Am the Walrus, but that song doesn't make any goddamn sense.
They're kind of effed up, aren't they? Yeah. They're awesome, but they're super crazy.
Yeah, fun. I'll put a thumb up.
It gets a thumbs up from this random showgoer.
This random showgoer loves the Beatles Rock Band. How can you go wrong?
So, Mr. Devara, I would say you're off to a very good start, and I would like to wish you continued success in the future very much.
Thank you very much for having me on your television program.
Fantastic. Have a great show. Continue. Mustache technology, go.
Yay!
All right, now I'm joined by Frank Felice of Capcom. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing, Jeff?
I've been doing pretty good. We're up here off the show floor.
A little bit more quiet.
That's right, a little more intimate up here, talking about Lost Planet 2. The snow is gone, sir.
It is gone, but oh boy, did it unearth some awesome environments, let me tell you.
Yeah, it is not cold, it is still hot, and in fact it is hotter and hottest. So I just got a chance to play and to fight a salamander boss, some pretty intense co-op action going on there.
Absolutely, 4-player co-op, salamander boss, it is huge, and it's actually one of the smaller bosses in the game, so if you thought this thing was huge, you can imagine how big the bosses are going to be.
Jeez, yeah. So let's talk about kind of what's new. Obviously, snow is gone. You got all this co-op stuff in there, but you'd be running around picking up weapons and just mowing these guys down.
Yeah. So the team was really focused on cooperative play, but they also wanted to take feedback from the community. So a lot of the feedback was it was a little slow on the first one, trudging through the snow. So the team took that feedback. Now you can sprint. It's a lot faster. Overall feel, it's just a lot more Western of a game than people were used to with the first Lost Planet. So it's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Having played it, it definitely feels just a little tighter, a little faster moving. You can run and do all this stuff, which is cool. But still, the huge bosses. I mean, you alluded to this being one of the smaller ones. Are you talking about any of the other ones?
Well, we showed in our E3 trailer. You got a little glimpse of the next size up. So it just keeps going up exponentially from there. But this boss, you actually can fight it from the outside and the inside. So if you take out its legs, it falls on its belly, opens up its mouth. You climb inside of it, shoot it from the inside. Guys are shooting it from the outside. Action's happening from everywhere. Yeah,
that is just. It's ridiculous.
It is crazy.
So the vital suits, now you can climb onto the side. Can all 3 of the other players who aren't piloting ride on any of the bigger vital suits?
Oh yeah, so the vital chute we're showing here, 2 players can actually climb on either side. So the guy shooting, the main guy's driving, 2 guys on the side, really adds to mobility, kind of that teamwork, co-op play that we're going for, and it's just a lot of fun.
Cool. One of the things the previous game had, of course, was competitive multiplayer. Can we expect to see that returning as well?
Absolutely. So we've announced a 16-player multiplayer. We haven't really talked about game modes yet, but you can assure that the standard ones will be in there for sure. And the level of customization as well, you can take that from the single-player experience, bring it into the multiplayer experience. So it's no longer just a few character models. You got a ton of options out there. Players will be able to look however they want to look on the battlefield.
Cool. Frank, thank you so much for your time. Looks cool.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Hey, I have found one of those rare quiet places at E3, and I am fortunate enough to be joined by Albert Pinello, who is the Director of Marketing with Microsoft. How are you doing, sir?
Good, doing well.
Cool. So, you guys announced some stuff this week. I don't even know where to start. So, what do you feel like is the biggest focus for Microsoft, or the biggest kind of most tentpole announcement that you had this week?
Yeah, it's a good question. We get that a lot. I mean, I think it almost depends on what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about games, we had an unbelievable lineup of exclusives and some great franchises like Crackdown coming back and Splinter Cell exclusive. We had some awesome announcements on live, like the Netflix improvements and the 1080p streaming. And then, of course, the Project Natal, the new 3D sensor that we're releasing sometime in the future. So, yeah, just a bunch of amazing announcements. The Beatles.
Yeah. It's pretty much hard to get bigger than the Beatles, I guess. But, I guess Natal is the thing that everybody's really obviously you had a big lineup, a lot of big names, but that's kind of the high concept, like, vision of the future stuff. What compelled you guys to roll it out now while it's still in sort of the R&D phase and before obviously it's got like a final kind of marketing focused title on it?
Well, I mean, I think it was a couple of things. The first is, obviously at a show like this, to get the imagination of the game creators in the industry and really share our vision with people and energize the community around the types of experiences is one reason. The other reason, quite frankly, is I think we had some cool stuff to show, and we felt like it was a good time. We've been going out, we've been talking to developers, we talked to people like Steven Spielberg and things like that, and we thought we got some great demos. We want to share the vision with the world, so let's bring it out and see what people think.
Very cool. So do you see this as sort of the future of the Xbox? I mean, at the conference you guys talked about, complicated controllers, lots of buttons are pretty off-putting for a lot of people. So is the controllerless future the future, or is it just part of the future? I mean, are you always going to have that kind of backbone of like hardcore sort of shooters and traditional stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the great things about Xbox, and one of the things that we've always done has been about choice. And certainly as a gamer myself, I mean, we have probably the best controller ever made, or certainly the epitome of that type of controller with the 360 controller. And so, hey, games like Halo, Call of Duty Modern Warfare are always going to be great with the controller, and we're always going to deliver those. I mean, we announced, the Halo, Crackdown, Alan Wake, all these games coming in the future. What I think about this is, if you are going to go ahead and go out and say, let's really try and get new customers and new types of experiences, we already had the best device for this, but what was really keeping people from finally moving over and trying video games, and it was that thing can be intimidating. So no, I don't see this as eliminating the controller at all, and I think it's really important that people that love the Xbox understand this is going to be enhancing the experience you love, not replacing it. We're not going to try and force the games that are great on the controller to be on this. What I really want to see happen is have those same great game creators, the guys that brought first-person shooters from the mouse and keyboard to the controller, what can they do with this? And also, what entirely new types of things can happen. So, we showed Thwack and Ricochet and Paint Party, and that was kind of almost like, like the tires and the wheels, just showing that it works, that you can actually control things with your body. And then we showed the Milo demo, which is like mind-blowing because it's not what you ever think of traditionally as games. And to me, that's the most exciting part about this is the entirely new types of experiences that people like Molyneux and the other creators in the industry are going to bring. So I think it's part of an amazing future on top of the stuff we do with live and the multiplayer gaming and all the media stuff. So it's part of our future.
So what are some of the other kind of big focuses for you guys? I mean, obviously you're pushing live arcade pretty big at this thing. You've got like the games on demand stuff. Like, can you speak to sort of some of the business aspects of that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that with the stuff that we've done with arcade and seeing that there's, finally with the storage options we have on live, to ability to do digital distribution, and to finally now be able to download full games, I just think it's a great enhancement. I mean, you're always going to want to go into retail, and you're going to want to grab that box and look at the screenshots, and that experience is never going to go away. But I also think there's a group of people that's like, I heard that, Burnout was great, and, I don't want to go to the store. Oh, there it is, I'll pick it up. And again, it's all about choice and letting people kind of consume this stuff the way they want to. So I'm really excited about it. And then obviously the stuff that we're doing with Live, and the 1080p instant streaming, the Netflix improvements. I mean, people are finally starting to think of Live beyond just the multiplayer gaming. And I think with Arcade, with Netflix, with the Sky announcements and bringing it internationally, there's just so much cool stuff that Xbox can do now.
So, we've been seeing the price points of Live Arcade sort of, inch upward a little bit lately, It was it hovered at $10 for a long time. Now 15 is kind of the new 10. And then the on-demand games that you've shown, the retail games, seem to be around the $20 mark. When do you get into overlap between what's on Live Arcade and what constitutes a full retail release that you can get digitally, and at what point do you transition to just doing full games, straight through the internet, no retail release?
That's a great question. I think the industry's going to have to figure that out. Certainly games like Shadow Complex are pushing the boundaries of arcade, and yet we're still going back and doing fun things like Marvel vs. Capcom and stuff like that. So I think it's just great to let people in the industry sort of figure it out and discover what's the right balance. So I hope we continue doing the $5 and $10 games, and someday we're going to be doing the full stuff, and I think the industry will figure it out.
Yeah. Have your kind of retail partners had anything to say about this plan so far? Has there been a lot of communication there?
Yeah, obviously retail is an important part, and like I said, I don't ever think that experience of going in and buying games is going to go away. And I think you've still got the consoles, our points cards, and there's still a lot of partnership with our retail partners, and that's obviously important. I don't think it's going to go away. What we've really seen with Arcade. We have record attach rates, so clearly even with the digital distribution we're doing today, lots of games are still being sold. So the easier you make it for people when they feel like they want to play, to let them have an opportunity, I think the better it is for the industry.
Fair enough. So obviously, you've got Natal, you've got constantly evolving methods of digital distribution. You're constantly adding things onto this box. How much do you feel like those additions forestall the need for a whole new box? Does this, each kind of major innovation, does that keep pushing the line back before you have to really start thinking about a new console?
You tell me.
I'm not exactly eager to buy another $400 console anytime soon, but it's got to happen eventually.
And I think there will always be console generation changes. But it used to be this 5-year cycle, and you sort of force the entire industry to pony up and change. And I think what we did last year with the new Xbox experience was a shift, because typically that kind of experience would wait for a new console. And there's so much power in our box, and we've always talked about that we're able to change the entire experience. We're able to add 1080p streaming. We're able to add Netflix. We're now going to add controller-free gaming. So, I think we'll change when we feel like we've run out of things to be able to do on the box.
Right. Cool. So you guys have focused so heavily on digital distribution this time. You've got what I think is a pretty effective method of sort of rights management. You buy a game and then you can re-download it, if you move to another console, or, you lose your hard drive or whatever. But what happens when you reach that day when there is a new Xbox? What happens to all the stuff that people bought from Live Arcade or this new games on demand service? Do you feel compelled to let that stuff carry over, or do people just need to keep their 360 around forever to play that stuff?
That's a great question, and I think those are one of the details that you need to think about when you start thinking about what does it mean to be a next generation console, and what does the next step need to be. So it's a little speculative to think about that, but I do think that Live is, from Xbox to Xbox 360 and from whatever the future comes from Xbox, that's a great thing about Live, is that your identity and those types of things continue to come with you. So it's obviously too soon to think about those types of things, but certainly that's one of the great advantages of Live.
Cool. So obviously some other companies have been rolling some stuff out this week. I'm kind of curious, since I've got you for just a couple minutes, what your thoughts are on the stuff Nintendo's been showing with their fitness stuff, and obviously the Motion Plus, and then Sony's got their own idea about how motion control should go. How do you think, or what do you think about the way those guys are approaching that stuff?
It's interesting to see how everything's played out, and certainly, as Don said at E3, we could have delivered a motion controller, but I think we felt that we already had a great controller and that step had sort of been done. And when we really thought about what the barrier was to really getting new people, I mean, we've had this great story where we've done like focus testing with customers and just put the camera in front of them and said, just go figure out how to play. And within 30 seconds, someone has figured out how to play. And that's really interesting. The more interesting thing was right after that, we asked his mom to come play. And his mom was playing in like 5 seconds. And then the story I say is, I can show you how to play Burnout, and I can show my mom and give her the controller, and she's not playing Burnout. But this kind of experience really is breaking down that barrier because it's so intuitive. So, I mean, I think what Sony's doing is interesting, and what Nintendo's doing, I mean, certainly they brought some innovation to the industry, and I think it's great. But, it's still a controller, and it's still something in your hand, and I think there's still a certain barrier, and I didn't really see anything that they've shown that we can't do on top of the voice recognition, the facial recognition, the full body control. So I think we're really taking a huge leap forward.
Very cool. And before I let you go, I know I'm sure you've been in a lot of meeting rooms like this all show, but what's like the one thing that you've seen, Microsoft or not, that's just really impressed you, game or otherwise?
Well, I have to tell you, I was absolutely blown away by the Modern Warfare 2 trailer, but there's a soft spot in my heart for Splinter Cell, and I actually hadn't seen Splinter Cell, the full demo, until the briefing. So that's probably the one where it reminds me of the first time I saw Splinter Cell on Xbox, and it was like really raised the bar. And I think Splinter Cell Conviction is amazing.
Sam Fisher really seems like the comeback kid at this show, really.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, thanks a lot, Albert. I'm gonna let you go now, let you get back to all your business. But thanks again.
Thanks.
All right, now I'm joined by Nick Maragos from Atlas. How you doing, sir?
Very good.
Awesome. We're here taking a look at Persona for PSP. Now, this is an enhanced port of the original game?
That's right. That's what we're calling it. It's much like the original, the same dungeons, same graphics, same gameplay, but lots of little tweaks and additions here and there.
Cool. One of the big things I remember from playing through that game is that it got really tough. I mean, I was never a huge RPG guy back then, and I was drawn in because it was so cool, but then it kicked my ass repeatedly. Is it still going to be a really tough game?
It's still tough. That's kind of the classic Megaton style. All the Megaton games are hard. Yeah. That's just comes with the territory of the series.
Cool. Now, you crossed over from the world of writing about games to the world of making them, correct?
Right. That's right. I used to work for 1UP, and now I'm with Atlas.
Right. So, how's that been treating you, being on the other side of the wall?
I really enjoy it. I think writing for games is a lot better than writing about games, because after a while I felt I kind of was repeating myself writing about games, but here every project is new, every project is different.
Yeah. So you serve as like an editor and work in kind of the localization side of stuff?
That's right. I'm a script editor, basically. So I'm the guy who ensures that nothing like All Your Base happens again.
Right, yeah. And it seems like it's been working out pretty well. I mean, Vinny and I are currently playing through Persona 4.
I've been watching the endurance run here and there.
Cool. All right. Thank you for not having your legal team get in touch, I guess. And I'm continually blown away by the quality of the translation in that game, or just the quality of the script, I should say.
Oh, well, thank you. We had a big team on that one, and it took us a while, but we all worked really hard, and I think we're pretty pleased with the results.
Cool. So, what can you tell us about the Persona PSP? In terms, have you gone back through that original script and kind of gone over?
Yeah, the original script was very much a 1996 localization.
Right.
The new localization is doing exactly what we did with Persona 3 and 4. We're taking it. It's much more authentic to the Japanese, while simultaneously being, much more accessible. Kind of modern language, easy to understand, easy to read, things like that.
Cool. So, what's the deal with Persona 5?
Persona 5, I wish I could tell you. I wish I knew.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough. Nick, thanks a lot for your time.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Hey, I'm at the very, very busy Ubisoft booth with none other than Patrice Desolé, who is the director of Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2. How you doing, sir?
Not too bad.
You getting by? E3's not killing you yet?
Not yet. It's like only the second day.
Hang in there. So, obviously, people have been wondering about what the sequel to Assassin's Creed was going to bring for a long time. People have been speculating and trying to track down art, screenshots. So you guys are finally showing it for real. Does it feel Is there like a weight lifted? Do you feel relieved that you can actually show people what this game is now?
Yeah, that's why we're doing this job, right? Is to make people happy, and then the first time you show something, like people say, well, and if they respond to it, it's really great. So that's why we're quite happy today and even yesterday to see the response from the people.
I was hoping you could kind of fill in the backstory of the game a little bit. So you've got your new assassin Ezio. You've got a new time period. You're in Renaissance Italy. The first game was in the Crusades, in the Middle East. But you've said that there's a connection to Desmond, the guy from the first game. So is there like a bloodline? Is all his ancestors? Like, how does this all work?
Well, the real meta story, the big picture of Assassin's Creed game is all about Desmond Miles, who's like in the present time he's having an experiment with a machine called an Animus, and an Animus lets you relive the life of an ancestor. And the first game was about Altair, that was the Crusader ancestor. This time around, like you said, we're going in the Italian Renaissance, and the ancestor is Ezio. So Desmond is like, at the end, is the last link of this like large family of assassins. And now you're following for Assassin's Creed 2, Ezio's.
So when do we get a game where Desmond is the assassin?
It's there somewhere in my head, but not yet.
You just got to hit all the other ancestors first?
Yes. So roughly there will be 35 games before we get to this. I'm kidding, but this time around, though, you will be doing a little bit more with Desmond than only walking around.
Okay, very cool. So probably the biggest complaint about the first game was sort of the lack of variety in the side missions. I mean, you guys had a great framework, big, huge cities, but not a whole lot of different types of activities. So how are you addressing like the variety in this one?
Well, we listened to gamers and we went to the forum, we played ourselves the game we made when it was out and everything, and then we said yes, there's a bit of diversity problem, I would say. So this time around we say, okay, we changed the game structure. Let's forget doing only 9 assassination, doing the investigation part first and then assassinate the target. That's gone. We worked hard on making sure we had more diversity in the missions. So in AC1 we had roughly between 5 and 6 mission types that we were reusing everywhere in the world. This time around we're like 15 mission types that we can even link together to create like a bigger mission. So you could, for example, start by doing an escort mission with someone, and then that NPC, that character, could like fall down, because she received like blows, and then suddenly it becomes a carry mission. So you'll have like, this is a new behavior, by the way, of the main character. You can carry people out now. And then this mission can transform into a big escape at the end, So that mission will be quite unique. Also, we work hard on giving like exotic gameplays to the player. So we have the flying machine, because when we started to study the Italian Renaissance, the first name that came to mind was Leonardo da Vinci. So we need to do something with him. And we said, well, let's make him the Q, like James Bond Q. Right. So that's why he's building the flying machine to Ezio, and there's like one part of the game where it's all about flying around Venice. So that also it addressed the fact that there was maybe a lack of variety in the first game.
So I've noticed just from the little bits you've shown so far that the guards are way more aware now. They can pull you out of your hiding places. They kind of pay attention to what you're doing more. Like, what kind of tricks does Ezio have up his sleeve to counteract that?
Well, there was another problem in AC1. I felt that it was really quite difficult to assassinate, even though the title is Assassin's Creed. It really needed you to be like really behind someone with the hidden blade selected, and it was kind of tough. This time around I said, I want the player to be able to assassinate from almost everywhere. So we've created like assassination move from the climbing, from benches, from hiding spot, the Bale of Eight, famous Bale of Eight. But also you now have 2 hidden blades. That power of assassinating 2 enemies at the same time is so great. But you were talking about the AI and how we did with guards. Right. We created 3 new guard archetypes that will ask the player to really use his character. So you have the Seeker. It's like that paranoid kind of NPC like trying to get to Ezio, And then we have the big fighter. But in a game he's called the Corso. He's a big brute, and he's there with his hacks, and he's there to ask you to really be good in fighting. But you can escape him because he's not really good in running. Though we have this other character called the Agile, and that character is all about free run. So you cannot escape him, but he's not that great in fighting. So when you mix all those 3 characters and the normal guards and the archers, then the fighting is really much wider in scope than it was in the first game.
Very cool. So you guys had the 3 distinctive cities and then the sort of the kingdom that was like the overworld in the first game. Is this entire game set in the one city, or are you going to have multiple locations again like that?
we're building the Italy during the Renaissance. So we have Venice. This is what we're showing here. Venice is way bigger than any city we had in the first game. Every city in the first game had 3 districts, and Venice, as it was at the time, has 5 districts. So right there, it's bigger. And then we also have Florence, Tuscany. So, and the kingdom part, when there was this big, huge map, empty, in fact, big, huge map that you would have fun with the horse is gone. This idea of traveling between cities is kind of gone. Instead, you will be traveling, but on your way, there will be missions. So there's missions everywhere. In fact, right now in Montreal, we have roughly around 200 missions inside the game world, 100 for the main narrative path, and then 100 just of side quests and side missions. And the side missions are not always about being an assassin, because Ezio, the main character, is a young Florentine noble at first, and he's not an assassin. So there will be part in the game where you're not playing an assassin, where you're playing more Ezio, that normal dude from the Renaissance. But you will also be able to do some assassination mission. So, not only are you going to do assassination mission in the main path, but also in some side quests. And we created something that I kind of really like, is the notoriety system, which is that the assassin is kind of known in Italy, but he's not always known in the city in which he is. So people don't know that the assassin is in town. But as a player, you will play, you'll be fighting, you'll be assassinating, you'll be stealing stuff from people. After a while, the people in the city will say, whoa, the assassin is in town. And then the guards will actively, search you. So that creates a different vibe when you play, and also it opens up new missions, because you can do missions to lower down your notoriety level. So you go and assassinate the witnesses. People have seen you do stuff, and you can bribe the orators who are talking about you, or you can get rid of those posters all around the city. So that it's cool, because depending on what you do, you'll have more or less missions, or different mission types. In fact.
Okay, very cool. So it sounds like you guys are just cramming everything but the kitchen sink into this game. When are we actually going to see it on shelves?
Well, believe it or not, this game will be finished by this holiday on 360, PS3, and PC.
And you won't be sleeping until then?
No, I don't have time for that. Yeah.
Cool, very cool. Thanks, Patrice.
Yeah, back with us once again, Morgan Gray, Dark Void, sir.
Hello, sir. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, good to be back. How's the voice holding up?
Oh man, it's prepubescent. It's damaged goods. It's damaged goods.
Yeah, that sounds good. How long did it take you to lose it? How many demos did you have to give at the show here before?
Oh man, sadly this started day 2. I was only 2 days in. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
It's a sad fact.
Yeah, I ran into another guy that was just said the exact same things. I'm getting too old for this shit, man.
Voice is old. Young thumbs though. Young thumbs.
For sure. That's all that really matters. So Dark Void, you're here talking about some more of the story stuff.
Definitely.
We just got to look at Will and Ava. Why don't you tell us what's going on with them?
Cool. So Ava and Will, it's interesting, right? So it's sort of a love affair gone cold. They used to be an item. It didn't work out, partly because Will's sort of a dumbass. But thanks to her, she actually charters the plane that Will takes through the Bermuda Triangle. It wasn't the original plan, but it ends up that way. So he's ended up in an alien dimension, ex-girlfriend, things are a little weird, and then he gets involved with aliens subjugating humanity, it's Nikola Tesla, so we start to weave a lot of subplots in, I never would say at the end of the day they get all kissy face and everything's perfect, but it's definitely, I think, it's a fun subline of having not the emergent romance, but these references to this previous romance that you basically get through inference how it all works out.
So it must be kind of a bummer as he's meeting all these hot alien chicks and she's there messing the whole thing up.
If the void was populated with some of the hot green alien, the aliens
So
here
just
not
evil,
so
evil robot aliens.
Evil robot aliens. None of them are particularly sexy. I mean, they're sexy in a death and destruction kind of way, but not particularly hot. I think Ava's probably doing okay.
Cool.
In the void.
All right. So you have the music in this version of the game. It sounds like the orchestration and all that stuff was a huge process and a big help, right?
Yeah, and it was epic. It's epic. So Bear McCreary from Battlestar Galactica, Sarah Connor Chronicles, a little show that I like called that Eureka. I don't think anyone else watches it, but that's really good. Plug it for you. Plug Eureka. So we approached him to sort of bring his musical talent to the game. He's really good at creating universes and worlds and cultures out of sound. We thought that'd be a great match to sort of help bring the void to a more realistic level. He jumped on, the minute he saw Jetpack, he was in. And then he sweet,
Yep.
Good, that's what we want. And then he played more of the game and saw more, and he was totally in. So he went for months of composing, and then we recorded over several weeks with man, I think over 50 artists, huge orchestra. It's pretty much the biggest recording endeavor he had ever sort of done, and the results are absolutely perfect. Like, he was definitely become one of the team, which is cool. It's not just like, hey, we got a name guy to do our sound.
Right.
Like, he's corresponding with the sound engineers. He's talking with the cinematics director. Like, he became sort of part of the family. It kind of helps that he's kind of from that Washington area, that Redmond, where Airtight's at.
Yeah, so they're pretty local.
Yeah,
and
made it
out
easy.
bars and
Exactly.
all that stuff. Cool.
Redmond bars where the craziness happens.
Yeah, exactly. Now you know where the action's at. Redmond.
Big ups, Redmond.
Yeah. So it seems like the game's coming together. Do you have like a firmer kind of ship date yet?
So last time I think I said not tomorrow, but before the end of time. Now it's fall.
Fall. Okay.
It's like a good gameplay ramping. We are narrowing that.
Yeah.
We're coming out later this year in fall across 360, PS3, PC. It should be pretty cool. PC users, actually, we just announced a treat for PC users.
Really?
We've, on the forums have been feeling in love. So we actually entered into an arrangement with NVIDIA. They got this crazy new piece of technology called Turbulence. It is the coolest physics-based smoke trail thing you ever saw. They showed us a demo around GDC of a car doing wheelies.
Right.
And this crazy, like, you've seen the Street Fighter stuff? Like
Yeah,
the smoke
yeah,
thing?
yeah.
Imagine that as car exhaust. We looked at that and went, what if we put that out of a jetpack? Or what if the UFOs show up? What if we do this in the air? And so we're going to look at this beautiful, wispy, crazy things. But the gameplay boon is huge because now you actually can really tell where enemies are at because you're following this whole
Like
trail.
contrails and stuff like that.
So
Wow.
if you have a cool PC rig and a hardcore NVIDIA, graphics card like PC users, you're gonna have some fun later on.
Nice. Well, Morgan, I'm gonna let you get back to not talking. Awesome. We'll try some salt water, maybe gargle a little bit, some Ricolas or something like that.
Nice.
Get your voice back.
Thanks, I
So
appreciate
you're not
it.
supposed to say anything when I get your voice back.
Hey, what's going on? We're here at the Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment booth at E3 2009, and I'm here with Phil Ring. You're a producer at Telltale Games, and we're here to talk to you about Lego Rock Band. Phil, how you doing?
Oh yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
How's your show been so far? We're here at day 3, end of the road. Are you completely out of it?
No, it's still good, still going strong, luckily.
So let's talk about the game some, just kind of generally speaking, like what was the design concept behind Lego Rock Band other than kind of combining the obvious, Lego and Rock Band parts?
Sure, Lego Rock Band, we really realised that people enjoy playing Rock Band, but it wasn't always accessible to the younger gamer. So we wanted to make sure that everyone can be involved, it can be a family game and everyone can play together. We're making sure that things like the song list that we choose, it's going to be a great selection of songs, but there's no offensive language or anything like that. It's not going to offend anyone, but there's a brilliant song for everyone in the family. We go from things for kinks going right the way through to things like the Final Countdown.
Are you doing anything punny? I feel like there's a great opportunity here for, Brick House, I think might be a good addition. Anything like that in the set list?
Yeah, definitely. With the Lego world, it's all about parody. It's all about making cutscenes that are funny, and we wanted to include that in Lego Rock Band. So that was really important for us. That really goes down to things like the story. When you play this, the World Tour mode, it's really about playing a rock adventure. So you build a band, they go off, you get all the cool cutscenes that you'd expect from a Lego title, all the puns, all the parody that you expect. But in the rock world, it was really important that we included that.
Anything feature-wise that has changed from the existing kind of Rock Band formula?
Yeah, definitely. We've added a new mode, actually. There's a challenge mode where the Lego world's so fantastic. There's some brilliant environments and things out there. In challenge mode, what we can do is we can set a challenge for the gamer so that they can work together as a band and try and accomplish something. The one that we've got on show for E3 is a demolition challenge where, using the power of rock, the gamer has to try and destroy an entire skyscraper. So it's a nice twist. The gameplay feels slightly different, and it really adds a new feature to the game.
Is there any sort of cross-compatibility between this version of Lego Rock Band and other Rock Band products out there?
Well, our version of the game is going to be compatible with all the existing Rock Band instruments, as well as the majority of the guitar instruments and the third-party peripherals. That was really important to us. We want people to be able to pick up the game and get playing straight away with not having to worry about getting new equipment.
What platforms are you bringing this to, and when's it coming out?
It's going to be available for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Nintendo Wii, as well as the Nintendo DS version, and it's coming out holiday 2009.
Excellent, Phil. Thank you so much for your time.
Cheers. No worries.
Okay, day 3 of E3. We are still hanging in. We're almost there. final stretch. I am very fortunate to be joined by Denise Kegler, who is the VP of Corporate Affairs for Nintendo. How are you doing, Denise?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Not too bad,
Enjoying
hanging
the show?
in there. Yep. It's a lot of fun, a lot of work. It's
No work, all play, no work.
we do it because we love it.
Yeah.
So
me too.
so you guys had your press briefing earlier this week.
What'd you think?
It was a lot of fun. I felt satisfied by the stuff that I saw, having been a Nintendo fan since I was 6 or 7 years old. But not to beat around the bush too much, but last year the press briefing kind of took a little flack for the focus on sort of the mainstream. This came from sort of a long time, the quote unquote hardcore fans.
Yeah.
So did you guys have that in mind this year when you were kind of planning out what to emphasize and what to announce at the press briefing?
Certainly important for us to show that we do make games for everybody. And you're being kind in your description of last year, so I appreciate that. But, we show games when we're ready for the games to be shown. And this year we were very pleased and happy that we had such a broad base of games ready to be shown, including many core games. And the feedback that we got was very, very positive. You guys were very kind, have been very kind in acknowledging that we did show games that appeal to core gamers, and also recognize that we do have that very large base of expanded audience members. So the feedback that we're hearing to our media briefing has been very good. That Nintendo, you showed that you care about the core, and you showed that you care about the expanded audience. So the balance was there. So we were very pleased with that feedback.
How much is the Motion Plus going to be a focus for you guys? Miyamoto talked at his Q&A about, he envisions the next Zelda as possibly requiring it. You've got some other sports games, Red Steel 2. There are some games coming out that will require it. Do you envision a time when the Motion Plus is just, required for every game? Is that integral to the Wii experience, or is that just sort of another way for people to play?
Well, certainly Wii Motion Plus is certainly a way for that experience to be more immersive, more intuitive, and that's a great thing, right? So it's more of a challenging, precise gameplay experience for consumers and for gamers, and so we're excited to bring that kind of technology here and now on the show floor that you can actually experience today. The response that we're seeing to Wii Sports Resort on the show floor is phenomenal. Just the lines to play archery, and what I'm hearing is people play like, wow, that is picking up really every movement. You pull, and that response, it doesn't get any better than that. When gamers can actually say to you that they're actually feeling the excitement it's one thing for us to say, hey, try it, you're going to love it, it's more precise, more one-to-one movement, the flick of your wrist. It's another thing to have a gamer come up and say, wow, you know what, everything you guys said, it actually does, and it's so much fun, and I can totally get into the game. There's nothing better than that. So to be able to bring that technology and that software to E3, to have all of you guys play it, is great for us. There are no plans right now. I think you were asking whether every single Wii game would make you'd only be able to play Wii Motion Plus or utilize Wii Motion Plus as opposed to the Wii Remote. We have no plans to make that the case. We're certainly, though, thrilled to have Ubisoft showcase such a commitment to the technology and making Red Steel 2 exclusively compatible with Wii Motion Plus. So having our licensees put that kind of vote of confidence on this technology is pretty cool. So we're happy to see that.
So, as a recent DSi owner, I was very interested. Yeah, I love the system, and I love the potential in DSiWare. The releases have not been coming maybe as fast as I would like so far. I was hoping for some announcements at the show on that front. You guys have got a new Mario vs. Donkey Kong actually next week coming out, but I'm sure you can't give away any specific secrets, but could you maybe kind of give us a hint as to when we could see some more announcements on the DSiWare front, maybe like virtual console kind of stuff or anything like that?
Yeah. I'll tell you.
All right. Well, you guys will just have to find out about that later. I'm sorry. Very cool. Well, Denise, I want to thank you very much. I know that you've got a busy show going on, but we really appreciate you taking some time out. So cool. Thanks. Hey, I'm here in the LucasArts booth. I just got out of a demo with Star Wars The Old Republic, and guys, I want to tell you, first of all, I'm a little perturbed because I thought I had given up MMOs forever, and I don't think that's going to be the case after this game comes out.
All right, we got you. All right.
You've done your work. So the first thing that struck me when I was watching the demo, you guys have unveiled the Smuggler class. You're also showing the Bounty Hunter and a Sith. In the demo, they were essentially each class was being likened to kind of a sort of hero character from the original movies. You know, you've got your Darth Vader, your Boba Fett. I know you're not talking about all the classes yet, but do you feel that's true for every class in the game? Is there like an analog to like a character that you remember for every type of character you can play in this one?
Well, we want to make sure it feels heroic, right? So we want to make sure it feels the Star Wars fantasy first and foremost, and it's fun. So when you first start a game, we want to make sure you feel very powerful and heroic. So every class is done that way, and every class has its own unique story. So we are making sure that people, when they get into the game, it kind of meets their expectations and they feel real familiar with it.
Is there going to be a C-3PO class? I mean, can we expect all of the characters to be filled in, or?
Well,
no. We're not saying that. We're not talking about that. So we do have companion characters for all the heroic classes that we're doing, and you are going to see lots of different roles that you can play, and then two roles of people, characters who can come along with you to adventure.
Cool. Very cool. So it seems like you guys are really trying to capture sort of the flavor of a single-player RPG in this game. You know, most MMOs, everything just kind of happens around you, but I noticed here, some dialogue scenes, the camera actually moves away, and you've got some kind of cinematic angles and stuff. I'm curious, how are the missions being designed with that in mind? Are they instanced so that other players can't run into your cutscene and mess up what's going on, or how do you work that out?
Well, we haven't really talked about our mission structure yet in some detail, but you can bet that the missions are set up both to drive your personal story forward and also to explore the worlds, find out more about what's going on in the overall universe, and have fun. I mean, the main thing is to fulfill the fantasy and have fun. Fun trumps everything, is the way we think about it. And Star Wars trumps everything. Star Warsiness trumps everything, if that's a word.
Well, the thing about a BioWare, and BioWare games have been traditionally like this, we build emotion in our storytelling, and the only way you do that is with cinematic moves like that, right, that you saw in there. So we have very much, like all BioWare games, we have emotion-based scripting with our digital actors and things like that. It helps drive the story, makes it more compelling.
And when you think about voiceover, right, so we have, literally thousands of roles which are voiced in our game, done by many, many hundreds of voice actors. So there's not like one voice actor doing 2,300 people, right? They're doing a few roles, and those roles tend to be pretty damn different, too. So I think that what you're going to see is that it'll be engaging. We're not, drawing men off the street to do our work. We're drawing, professional talent kind of across the board. So you're going to see a high-quality experience that, if we hit our mark, will be compelling the entire way through, not just partially through your class story or any, all the rest of the game. We want to keep people engaged. We want them to actually buy in and feel the emotion that is possible with the kind of games that we build at BioWare.
So I'm curious, since you guys announced the full voice this week, since you've got different character classes, and I'm assuming you haven't shown it yet, but maybe different kind of races, alien races that you can choose, or maybe genders. How diverse are the voiceovers going to be in terms of is there the smuggler voice? Is there like the one actor that does all the smuggler lines? Are you recording the same lines with multiple actors to get more diversity depending on like your racial choices and stuff? How are you breaking that down?
Well, we really haven't talked much about that yet, but we will have diversity in our voice talents, right? Depending on what you select.
And every role can be played from either a male or female perspective.
Right.
You guys have a kind of a multiplayer dialogue system in the game. You've got two guys in a party and they're both faced with a choice. How does it work so that both players can contribute to the choice that's made?
Well, right now we're still iterating on it, so it's been gone a lot of iteration, as you can realize. There's a lot of edge cases, what we call it, different scenarios that you have to account for. So we really kind of don't want to talk about that yet until we really get that nailed, and it's still in development right now.
definitely a goal, though, for us to be able, because what's the point? It's an online game. We want people to adventure together. We want them to have fun together. We want that experience of participating in a conversation. It wouldn't be any fun if only one person was making all the choices, right? Then you're just along for the ride. That's not empowering.
And the great thing about it is you look at the guy's choices. Oh, I can't believe you selected that, right? You can rib them as you go along, and that's kind of cool.
Cool. So you guys have got a pretty stylized art design, but also, I was struck just by the kind of level of detail. Even with the art style, it seems like you're still putting a lot of fine detail in there. Can you talk about what kind of hardware you're targeting for the game to run on? What is kind of a good solid system? Is it going to be top of the line that you're going to need to run at high resolutions, or is it going to be a pretty broad kind of requirement?
Well, we're definitely not announcing our min spec today, but it's been a goal from the very beginning to run on fairly modest hardware all the way through, because what we want is we want to reach the broadest possible audience. And while you and I may change our computer out every year, that's not the average person. The average person is not buying a brand new top of the line gaming computer every year. So we want to be able to get the most possible people into play, and that means making sure that our min spec is not incredibly low, but it's actually much more accessible to the average person.
Very cool. And I know I shouldn't even ask this question, but can you guys give us any indication of when we can look for this game?
When is it coming out?
Where's that lightsaber sound that we could do right now? And then
E3 2009 is in its final hours, but we could not get out of here without checking out Uncharted 2, and I am fortunate enough to be joined by Evan Wells, who is the man as far as Uncharted goes. How are you doing, dude? Are you hanging in there?
I'm hanging in there. Yeah. Thanks.
You have survived. We're almost done.
Almost done.
So you guys have been rolling Uncharted 2 out kind of in pieces over the last few months. Can you kind of set up where the story is at based on what you've revealed now? Who are the players and what are they after?
Yeah, so we're finally starting to talk more about the story itself. It's Nathan Drake's new adventure. He's following the trail of Marco Polo throughout Southeast Asia. He's in search of the Chintamani stone. It's sort of a Buddhist holy grail, a wish-fulfilling jewel. He thinks it's a raw sapphire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But he's got an opponent named Zoran Lazarevich, who's sort of this rogue paramilitary leader that most people think has been killed in a bombing raid, but he's definitely alive and well, and he's in hunt of that Chintamani stone too. And he thinks it actually has some more mystical value than just the monetary value. That's why he's after it.
Cool. So looking at this demo, you guys are showing this big expansive Nepalese city. Did you guys hire 1 million level designers? There's just a crazy amount of detail as far as you can see. How many man hours does it take to get the game looking that good?
Yeah, that particular vista took quite a few man hours. Our artists are nuts. They're insane. They work really hard, super talented. And our programmers, of course, are just adding more and more optimizations into the engine to allow them to go even crazier and put more detail into the environments. Really, I think when I look back at the Uncharted 1 environments, it almost looks like kids played out to us. Because we've got this swamp environment that's kind of jungly, like the first Uncharted, but it just blows it away.
So the only thing that I really remember the first game taking any flack for was kind of the gunplay, the shooting combat. I remember specifically the enemies tended to soak up a whole lot of bullets before they went down. Have you guys rebalanced and tweaked that? How has the combat evolved in this one?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, we've added a whole new class system to our enemies. So we've got light enemies, which come in these gray uniforms, and they don't take very many bullets at all. They go down in just 2 or 3 shots, one to the head, obviously. And also, their melee, you can pretty much just pound on the square button, you'll take them down. And then we've got our dark uniformed guys. Those are our medium class. And those guys take a few more bullets, and if you try to melee them, they're going to counter your attack, and you have to hit this triangle button to dodge their counter so that you can finish them off. And then we have our highest class of enemy, which is our armor guy, and you can't melee him at all. If you do, he's just going to try to choke you out and throw you to the ground. You got to start shooting his armor off piece by piece, take his helmet off, try to get a headshot in, but he takes a lot of bullets. And then within those classes of enemies, all of them can have any kind of weapon, whether it's a grenade launcher, rocket launcher, Uzi, rifle. And then we also have shields. So some of these guys can also carry shields, which you can then, after you take them down, use against the enemy. So it's pretty cool.
You guys launched the multiplayer beta this week. I guess you're a bunch of masochists trying to get a beta off the ground in the middle of E3, but can you tell, for the people who aren't lucky enough to have gotten into it yet, can you tell people what's going on in the beta?
Yeah, so we're offering up 2 different competitive multiplayer modes and 1 of our cooperative multiplayer modes. The competitive multiplayer modes are 5-on-5 team-based modes. So we got a straight-up deathmatch, and then we also have Uncharted's take on Capture the Flag. We call it Plunder. There's treasure out on the map somewhere. You got to run out there and find it and pick it up. But you actually physically hold it in one of your hands, which reduces your weapon choice to just a pistol. And then you've got to defend yourself as you run back, lugging this heavy treasure, which kind of slows you down, makes an easy target, back to your base so that you can put it in your treasure chest. But sometimes that treasure chest is not on flat ground because we've got this great traversal moveset that makes Uncharted very unique from other multiplayer games. Sometimes that treasure chest is up on 2nd and 3rd floors, and you actually have to throw the treasure that you're carrying up to those higher precipices. And then you have to either chase it yourself, or you have to start to work as a team, as a fire brigade, and actually get somebody up there to move it the next leg of the trek back to the chest. In the cooperative mode, we're showing what we're calling our objective-based mode. We take snippets of the single-player adventure, and then we completely redo the setups so that we got a brand new set of enemies that are facing you, and a light narrative that is a new experience from the single-player campaign.
I have to ask while I have you here, just because you worked on the Jack games for so long. There's a new one coming out. You guys are not involved, I assume. Are you sort of overseeing, or?
It's being developed by High Impact, the guys who did all the Ratchet and Clank PSP games, so a really strong developer. They're showing us the builds, we're checking out, we're trying to get feedback, but we're obviously super busy with Uncharted 2.
So since you spent so many years with Jack, I assume you've got some kind of special place for him. Does it hurt you that somebody else is taking the reins? Do you guys ever feel like you wish you could see what that franchise could be on the PS3?
We'd love to get some time to do it on the PS3. Right now we're one game at a time company, and we're full force is concentrated on Uncharted 2. But I would love to see what Jack would look like on the PS3. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, I'll keep that in mind. So when are we going to see this one?
We're saying fall 2009 right now. We haven't announced a specific date, but I'm sure there'll be an announcement in the coming weeks.
All right, thanks, Evan. Appreciate your time.
Hey, what's going on? We are here at the SOE booth talking to Jens Andersen, creative director of DC Universe Online. Jens, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Last day of the show, how you been holding up?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. The carpet's nice and soft down here, so the feet are doing good. The game's showing great, so we're really happy.
Well, we saw this game last year in kind of a prototypical stage. It wasn't really playable yet. You're showing it being played here on the floor. Let's talk about kind of what DC Universe Online is all about as far as the gameplay goes.
Okay, sure. We've come a long way since we first showed it at San Diego Comic-Con almost a year ago. Right now we're running on the PS3 and the PC. They're actually networked together, and players are walking up to it on the floor, and they're playing against each other on both platforms in PvP, which is really cool. They're also going through a really detailed case line that we're doing right now, which involves a lot more story and FaceTime with the iconic characters like Superman, Batman, Joker, Lex Luthor. So we've come a long way, really tightened up our combat. There's a lot of polish on the game right now. We're approaching our alpha date, which means that we'll be feature complete, and then moving on to a friends and family beta after there.
Awesome. So PS3 and PC online together, that seems pretty unprecedented.
It's been done before in a few games. I believe Final Fantasy XI actually played on PS2 and on the PC. But I don't think in this scope or this type of game has ever done that before. This is an action game through and through. You're really connected to your character. It's a lot more like a third-person action game, like Infamous or something like that, where you're just really connected to your character. You're doing really over-the-top, super powerful moves. There's no auto-attack. It's all up to your skill and your positioning and tactics as a player. So it's a really new experience for MMO people on PC. And then the guys on the console really haven't had this level of sort of progression before, this sort of stickiness with your character, growing it from zero to hero like that.
You'll be playing in this game, or everyone will be playing, presumably, as their own created hero, but you'll be interacting with the heroes and villains of the DC universe. How's that going to work?
It's going to work. There's a lot of ways. In what way do you mean? Like sort of power level, or what do you mean?
Oh, just how am I going to interact with Batman or Superman?
Right. Well, there's a lot of ways. First of all, they're going to contact you a lot, so you'll see them pop up on your mission communicator, and Batman will be like, "Hey, I got some trouble down on the docks." You're going to go down there.
That's a really good Batman voice, by the way.
Thank you very much, Kevin Conroy. Watch out. Basically, you go down to the warehouse and you pop into this private sort of instance where you and your group, or just you, go in and you see Batman Batman in there, and he's like up in the scaffolds, and you're going to sneak through this warehouse with him, trying to observe what's going on. Then you're going to get the drop on the enemies. You're going to fight side by side with him. Or maybe if you're a villain, you're actually going to take him on. So how does that work, right? How does a level 10 guy take on Batman or Superman or something like that? Well, we get asked that question a lot, how that's going to happen. But ultimately, it comes down to story. We have some great writers, Jeff Johns, Marv Wolfman. These guys know how to treat these characters. Who would win in a fight, Batman or Superman?
I don't have a good answer for you.
Batman.
Vinny says Batman. What does DC Universe Online say?
Well, Batman if he has the kryptonite ring, Superman if he doesn't, right? So it depends on what's going on. So let's say we want characters or players to get involved with these characters throughout their career. They're going to see Superman and Batman level 1. They're going to see him at level 10. They're going to see him at level 20, and so on and so on and so on. So, one thing to remember is that contextually, like fictionally, we can make any story we want. Hey, you're taking on Batman or Superman as a villain at level 10. Well, guess what? There's kryptonite in the room. He's weak, right? Batman's been gassed by Scarecrow. Cool. He's not at his, tip-top performance. You can take him on, too. The other thing is, too, that you are not a C-list character in this universe. We have a huge backstory, which is explaining the genesis of all the player characters in the DCU and how they fit in, and they're top-level characters. Like, they are going to be powerful. You're going to be picking up buses and smashing them into, these iconic heroes, or, going side by side against, huge villains that you've seen in the comics, and you're going to hold your own.
Now, obviously, you're telling your own stories here, with these known characters, and obviously DC Comics are still coming out. Are you planning on being reactive or kind of integrating any events currently in the DC universe into the game?
Well, we have a really great relationship with DC, and I know Dan DiDio. I always see him at the cons, and he's always very excited about possibilities of crossovers between the comics and the game. So I'll let him speak to those kind of things if you can score an interview with him. But we have a really tight relationship with them, and this product is very important, I think, to the future of both companies. And there will be a lot of communication and I think crossover going on there as much as we can. We're starting our game right now. We sort of have this timeline that we want to do right now, which is basically post 52-ish, okay. But we're not gonna stick to the huge letter of the law here. Like, for instance, right now, Batman's been killed in the comics. Bruce Wayne is not around, but Bruce Wayne will be our Batman. So we're not staying like so current that Joe Pro on the street all of a sudden sees Jason Todd as Batman, or whoever is going to end up there and be like, what is going on?
So definitely, though, leaving open the door for the possibility of some sort of crossover.
Oh, absolutely. I know that's a huge possibility.
Excellent. So when are you going to go into beta? When can people start playing it? And do you have a date that you're setting to try and get this live?
Well, we don't have a date yet, a release date at this point. We're approaching our alpha, so that means feature complete, and that's going to be very soon. Right now, you're seeing this game in a pre-alpha stage, and we're putting it in people's hands, which is really unusual. So once we do that, we'll be in a friends and family beta and a closed beta, and then open it up to a larger audience. And I think once we're in those early beta phases, we'll be closer to understanding what our release date is.
Excellent. Jens, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We are coming down the home stretch at E3 2009, and before we get out of here, I am very fortunate to have been joined by Donald Mustard, who is you're at Chair Entertainment. What do you?
Yeah, I'm the creative director at Chair.
You're the maestro, the commandant, the big cheese.
No, I'm just a lucky guy. That's all.
We all are. So you guys had a pretty freaking big announcement here at E3. You guys have rolled out Shadow Complex, which is a pretty expansive action adventure for Xbox Live Arcade. First of all, I just want to say thank you guys for making that kind of game. Like I'm glad to hear that you don't hesitate to use the word Metroidvania, because that brings a certain style of gameplay to mind. So, did you guys you went into this project knowing that's exactly what you wanted to make?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, growing up, probably my favorite game of all time is Super Metroid, and I just have been thinking for years it would be so cool to make like a next-gen Metroidvania-esque side scroller. I mean, I think Metroidvania is really it's a genre unto its own, and there's just not enough entries into it.
Yeah.
And we thought it'd be really cool to kind of take our unique kind of take on that genre and make it into a game. It's the kind of game we want to play, and hopefully other people want to play. So
I certainly do. So was it a hard sell? I mean, you guys decided to make that kind of game, but like you said, there aren't a lot of those on the market these days. Was it hard to pitch to publishers and development partners to get them to think, yes, this kind of game can still be commercially viable?
No, I think that's what's been so surprising. People really seem to want this kind of game. And it was easy to say, Metroidvania, next gen, here's our unique ideas on it, all using Unreal. And people are like, yeah.
So you guys have a pretty interesting kind of premise for the game. You're not some badass super spy or, cybernetic soldier. You're just kind of a regular Joe. Can you tell us how that idea came about and what is that sort of just basic premise?
Well, I mean, I think we always like the idea of the everyman, and in this situation, you and your girlfriend are out hiking in the woods one day and you stumble across this huge underground military complex, and you're kind of just thrust in the middle of this huge conspiracy and doing stuff. And I don't know, I think it's easier to relate to, this idea that you can just be thrust into the situation and you get to become the hero. And I don't know, it's kind of some of the stories that we like to tell, and it really fit for what we were doing with Shadow Complex.
Right. It seems like, so you, obviously as a sort of Metroidvania kind of game, you get items that give you new abilities that then grant access to new areas. I liked what I've seen so far. It seems very contextual. It's not like you find an orb that gives you a magic ability. It's, you find the backpack that has the climbing gear, and then all of a sudden you can climb. Yeah. So is that consistent throughout the game? Is it pretty natural that you're kind of discovering this equipment and it sort of enhances your abilities?
Yes, especially on the major pickups. We have 18 major pickups, and we tried to make them as contextual as possible. It's like you said, you get the backpack that has climbing gear in it. You get a thrust pack that allows you to double jump. So you're not just magically double jumping, and you see yourself putting it on. You get a rebreather that lets you breathe underwater. You get foam attachments for your guns, and everything is really. We really just wanted to be as integrated as we possibly could into a contextual environment.
So you guys have the great reveal moment when you give the demo. It's like, here's the area you are right now on the map screen, and then you pull it out and show the whole game, and it's just this huge expanse. How long would you say that translates into in gameplay hours? How extensive is this going to be for people who download it?
Well, so right now, all the different testers that are going through the game, they're averaging probably anywhere from 10 to 14 hours on their first playthrough, which is a really sizable game. It's a long, deep experience. But in the classic style, some of that stuff is important to us. It is possible to beat the game in under 2 hours at 100%. If you know where all the stuff is, like we've come to expect from some of those old kind of Metroidvania style games. So
you guys are one of the few developers catering to the speedrun crowd, I guess.
Yep. No, you can do the speedruns. We've even built in awesome sequence breaking stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do if you're a hardcore fan of this genre.
Very cool. So Microsoft announced this is part of the Summer of Arcade, so it's out soon.
Yep.
Where are you guys at in development? Are you furiously working all night, every night to get this thing done, or are you feeling pretty good about where it's at?
We feel pretty good about where it's at, but we're also working all night because we just want it to be as good as we can make it. We took a few days off to come to E3 to show it to people, but I fly back tomorrow and get right back to work. We just want to make it as tight and as fun as we can. So
awesome. You guys talking any pricing details yet, or is that under wraps?
Well, so it's MGS is publishing the game, and so we haven't made any announcements yet on the price.
All right, cool. Well, thanks a lot, Donald. I really appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
Hey guys, I have got Mike Wilford here from Twisted Pixel. You were the CEO, you were the big kahuna, you were running things over there. How's E3 going for you?
Man, E3's awesome. I'm here kind of trying to do some meetings, but showing off Splosion Man as much as I can. That's our new game that we're working on.
So that's a game we've been hearing a lot about, and primarily what we've been hearing is you hit buttons and you explode. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, dude, it's basically the most nonsensical, ridiculous game we could possibly think to make. You play as a dude named Splosion Man. He's made out of explosions. He's a lab experiment gone wrong.
Okay.
He just runs around exploding things. Evil scientists are trying to stop you, and you can blow them up, and they, big chunks of meat and ribeyes and steaks go flying everywhere.
Okay.
And it's basically just really simple gameplay mechanic. You have a triple jump, which is 3 different explosions, and the explodes destroy stuff, but also propel you off of walls. Lots of wall jumps and crazy stuff like that. Really simple mechanic, but we're able to build a lot off of that.
Cool. So you guys just shipped, and by shipped I mean downloaded the Maw before you moved on to this game. Did you guys take any lessons from what you did with the Maw and the DLC there? Then are you bringing those in?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing obviously is the technology. When we started the Maw, we had nothing. We just opened Visual Studio and started programming and had to create all the tools and everything from scratch. And so that was a really big jumping board for us on Splosion Man. But also. We experimented with DLC on the Maw and have some kind of mixed feelings on how we did that. We probably could have handled that a little bit better. So we're going to be careful on Splosion Man.
Okay, cool. So I'm not going to lie, we're a bunch of achievement whores in the office, and I know you guys seem to be kind of believers in sort of creative achievement design. Can you give us any teases about what we're going to see in this one?
Yeah, sure. Like I said, the game's kind of simple gameplay mechanic. Every single button is pretty much Splode. It's kind of a gag. You can go into the controls screen and change around your control mappings, and if you do that, you change A from Splode to be Splode, you get Master of Controls achievement.
I think I could probably handle that.
Yeah, and we also there's a hidden Maw tribute somewhere in the game as well with its own achievement too, so you got to look for that.
Very cool. So when are we going to see this one?
What are you going to see in Splosion Man?
No, when are we going to see it?
When? It's part of the Summer of Arcade. Okay. So really fortunate that Microsoft really believes in our game, and they're really excited about it. So we're part of the lineup, and this summer, I guess there's going to be like a 5 or 6 week span, and in succession, there's going to be a bunch of really awesome games coming out, and we're going to be a part of that.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Mike, for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good E3.
Yeah, thanks.
We're still here at the Atlas booth. I'm here with Arm. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man.
Great. We're here looking at Trauma Team. Now, you recently announced this game. It's not just a center anymore. This is a team.
This is a team, man. Yeah, the Trauma Center games were all about putting you in the shoes of the surgeon in the operating room. Trauma Team is about putting you in a living, breathing hospital. Your favorite medical dramas, your ERs, your Grey's Anatomy. Well, Grey's Anatomy, I don't know. It's a little.
I wouldn't call that a great medical drama.
Oh my God! Anyway, so we're putting you in that living, breathing hospital. You're interacting with these characters. You get to play as 6 different doctors now, 6 specialties. So forensic medicine. It's kind of CSI. You're going to be doing things like first response. EMT. So you're in the ambulance. You're actually not driving, but you're racing there to save as many lives as possible. So there's more breadth and more diversity to the gameplay. The storytelling has been vastly improved over how we've been doing it in the predecessors.
Cool. So let's talk about the story. Is there something tying it all together? Is there just a health wave?
Well, let's cover a couple things. First and foremost, one of the things that a lot of folks had been expressing over we've done 4 games so far in the series, and this is really, apart from the series, it's almost an all-new game in our minds. One of the things people were talking about was how over the top some of the stories would get towards the end of the story arcs.
Right.
And, a lot of crabs crawling through people, and one of the things that
I had that happen to me once.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a shot for it. It was fine.
That sounds kind of painful. I'm going to take a step in this direction. Anyway, so what we're looking at here is a story that is much more grounded. It's when I say realistic, I don't mean photorealistic and visceral, but it's much more about keeping you in that immersion, that living out that fantasy of being a doctor in a hospital and being part of a team. Now, you'll choose one of these 6 specialties, these 6 doctors, and you'll go through their path, but you will be seeing interaction in the story between them and their counterparts. And the storytelling, I think like Elite Beat Agents or Wendon in terms of an animated and lively comic book style. Cool. I mean, you can see it in the videos that we got running here too. Just dynamic and action-packed and exciting. So I think fans who are a little maybe turned off by the end of those games are going to be, I think, a lot more into it. And fans that have always loved Trauma Center, they're going to find what they want.
Cool, awesome. When can we expect it to come out?
Trauma Team comes out spring 2010 per week.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, sir.
Sure.